Hi, Shalene Giles with FIG, bringing a Wisdom Wednesday video to you. Our theme today is getting paid. I think out of all of our Wisdom Wednesday videos, a lot of folks will say this would be the most important one. After all, who wants to work for free? I don't. Doesn't pay the bills, doesn't put food on the table. So I don't work for free. Let me tell you, there's been a lot of lessons learned in this topic for me over the 20+ years that I've been in business, good and bad. And I want to share those with you because the last thing I want is for you not to be paid. Let me share a little bit of a story with you and then we'll move on. We made the mistake of sending a signed report to an attorney before we got paid. The attorney decided, I don't really need this report. It's of no benefit to me. Or at least that's what the attorney said to us. The attorney didn't pay our bill. We walked away with no money in our pocket. The attorney said, you want money from me? Sue me. What I learned was our services agreement had no teeth to it at all. The attorney signed the services agreement saying that in the event of non-payment, we would arbitrate. But when we talked to a corporate attorney about arbitration, what we learned is that the attorney is not required to show up for arbitration. The arbitrator can rule in our favor, but the attorney still doesn't have to pay us. We'd have to take the attorney to small claims court. We could still have a ruling in our favor, but because the attorney practiced in a different state than FIG was registered in, we had no authority to take a lien out in a different state. Another lesson learned was communication. A particular subcontractor worked with an attorney on a life care plan under FIG. But what happened was there was no open line of communication. It took about 4 to 6 months to complete the report, and there was minimal open lines of communication with that attorney. A few emails here and there, more so to the paralegal. When we turned in our report and our invoice, the attorney literally actually forgot that he retained us to complete the life care plan. He had moved on with the case. He was already discussing settlement with the opposing side. The attorney said, I'm not paying you. Guess what? We didn't get paid. Some of the hardest lessons that we've learned in business have to do with money. Let me share a few things that we're doing now to avoid this heartache and this financial hardship. Before we start any referral, we require a signed services agreement. And inside that agreement, it outlines the payment process. We require an initial retainer to be paid prior to any work that we begin. So we want a signed services agreement, a paid retainer, and the medical records, bills, and documents before we'll begin the case. Once the retainer is exhausted, we bill again. We call that interim billing. Whether it's a life care plan, a cost projection, a Medicare set-aside, it really doesn't matter. We bill up front. We also bill in the interim. So by the time the report's completed, 99% of our bill has been paid in full. There may be a few straggling charges, an hour here, an hour there, some mileage, some expenses, but it's going to be minimal at the end. Our interim bills are between 5, 10, 15, or 20 hours, depending upon how much time it's going to take us to complete the case. Cost projections, MSAs, 5 hours, and interim billing, life care plans, 10, 20 hours. We don't continue work until we receive payment on the next interim invoice. Then we start again. We make sure the referral source understands. No pay, no work. We anticipate when the interim invoice is going to become due. We send it ahead of time and remind the referral source that we will stop work once the invoice runs out and we will not continue work until we're paid. Let me tell you, we have not had any problems whatsoever once we implemented this billing process. If there are any billable hours or expenses due at the end of the case, we send an unsigned report. We watermark it unsigned. We also send the final invoice. Once the final invoice is paid in full, then we'll send the signed report. At FIG, we accept checks, cash, credit card, and PayPal. The referral source is able to pay any of these ways. Be proactive in your billing process, not reactive. That means bill up front, bill ahead of time, instead of waiting to the end and sending a whopping bill to the referral source and then they get sticker shock. Then that causes them to question, should I use you again in the next referral that I have on my desk? Billing in smaller increments is also more successful than a whopping sticker shock bill. This is Shalene Giles saying, get paid.